Welcome to the Sweaty Pillow podcast. This is something we haven't done before, but we just celebrated our first year anniversary at the Sweaty Pillow, and it was an epic year. And who better to join me on the couch is my partner in crime. She is the leader of the Sweaty Pillow. This is her brainchild, her execution, all her magic is Lisa Arsenault, our director of marketing at Lucime and the visionary behind the Sweaty Pillow. So Lisa's always in the background. I happen to be the face in front of the camera, but Lisa does all the finding of these guests and the curating of the details and getting these great partnerships, and also does all the podcast editing. So is sitting in the room when we're speaking to these brilliant women with these unbelievable nuggets. And I can see Lisa behind the camera going, what is happening? And we're just like gobsmacked by all this great data. So what we're doing today is we're recapping some of our highlights from the first year, the things that smacked us in the face of being, holy God, we have to go do something about it, because Lisa and I are in the range. Let's call it 45-ish to 55-ish. Lisa
call it 29.
Let's call it 29. So we are living this daily with the community that we serve. So Lisa, we are going to talk about our biggest kind of aha moments, going through all the podcasts and these amazing guests. Let's just go through our hit list on what really connected with us and maybe what we've done about it, like in the last year.
Sure. I have a few really big ones. And I think me and you are kind of on the same page with this one, is both of us have been on a vegan diet for some time.
Oh, yeah.
And this year we kind of had that epiphany that we're not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
We're not getting enough fiber-ish.
Yeah.
But protein is a big one. And that kind of resonated with me when we were speaking to our weight loss and hormonal person. I believe it was Cindy Topo.
Oh, yeah.
And she had such a good roadmap for the weight loss, the extra fiber, 25 grams of fiber a day, basically a gram of protein for your weight. So if you're 130 pounds, you should be eating 130 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Having that either kombucha or something fermented daily to keep that digestion going. That was a huge, huge one for me. And I have implemented that.
Yeah.
So I started eating fish.
Yep.
So I'm more of a pescatarian now, but I feel better, more energized.
Okay, good. I think the other thing was, let's be honest, a year ago now, well, January 2024, the post New Year's Eve revelation on our weights, and both of us were not happy on the place we're in.
Right.
So weight is always water cooler chit chat.
Yeah.
It's also one of the most requested topics for the women in our community is what the heck is with this 25-pound weight loss that just seemed to appear. So Cindy's podcast, the gut microbiome, the fact that you and I were vegans, thinking we were healthy, living our best life, we were kind of dragging our ass and we were overweight. Yeah. Which might have worked for us 30s and early 40s, but Absolutely. It was a different thing, right?
Right. When your metabolism changes, when your hormones start declining, you have that huge shift. So you're gaining weight.
Yeah.
And you're doing the same things. And that you're working out, you're doing your cardio, you're doing your weights, you're eating the same.
Yeah.
And you're still gaining weight, or you can't lose weight.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing. Brings me to the whole HRT issue. Hormone health.
Yeah.
Which I knew it, but it hit so hard this year because, just hearing about hormones connected to heart disease and heart attacks and just everything else in your body, like estrogen. Well, if you're low in estrogen, you're going to gain weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're low in estrogen, it could cause like all those heart problems that I didn't even realize, which is like a scary thing because the amount of heart attacks for women of our age is substantial. And I mean, I don't want to be lumped into that group ever. So, I mean, the HRT journey, I mean, you started a little bit earlier than but I have been on that journey now. And I feel like I'm getting there. I'm not quite there yet, but it's coming.
The HRT thing is interesting, right? Because we've had so many doctors talk, and all of them espouse the benefits of replacing in some way if you can, and there's no risk to the sex hormones, which are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. It's very personal. That's what we learned. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all.
No.
You, along with the theme of hormone replacement therapy, the impact of the Women's Health Initiative from 1998 to 2005, that started the prohibition of hormone replacement, and what that did to women's health was dangerous. But all doctors have said this is personal. There's mixed reviews on treating the data and the numbers and the blood work versus treating the symptoms.
There is.
But all of them are aligned. If you can find a way somehow to replace hormones, it will definitely improve your risk for a cardiac event. And do you remember Dr. Suzanne Steinbaum, this cardiologist from New York? And she was early days. She was in the first quarter of last year. And she put the fear of God in us on our risk for a cardiac event, which is 70% of women going through peri and menopause are at risk for a heart event, heart attack, stroke, whatever. And 80% of the time it's preventable. Boom, hit me on the head. I left that podcast, immediately called my doctor, called my nurse practitioner who's working on hormones, and everyone calmed me down. No. Because you've started your HRT journey, because the way we're doing the estrogen patch, it's actually protective for heart disease. My HRT journey started with blood work, remember?
Yeah.
And my cholesterol was high, and I'm healthy. I was coming off a vegan diet. The only thing I changed was adding fish. Why the heck would I have high cholesterol? Fast forward 6 months of HRT and my cholesterol was down.
Right.
That's not changing anything other than hormones.
Yeah.
Positively impacting my health vis-a-vis having a heart attack. So that was a huge.
Well, and estrogen keeps your arteries flexible as well.
Right.
So there's just so many bonuses. And I think, going back to the whole research back in the 90s, 80s, whatever. I mean, I think of my poor mom.
Oh, yeah.
Who went through menopause at that point, not thinking she actually went through menopause. She's like, oh, I didn't have any symptoms. But remembering back, she had frozen shoulder. She had, there's just so many things she had.
Yeah.
The osteoarthritis, which can be prevented with hormones.
Yeah.
There's just so many things. And she has so many problems now that could have been dealt with back then if hormones were an option for her, or even doctors knew about the benefits of the hormones at that point, instead of just listening to the one thing and that one little research that they did and caused breast cancer and this and that. And it's been disproven since then.
Yeah.
But I mean, even thinking back to Dr. Anat Zapan, and she was like, even 60s and 70-year-olds at this point can benefit from hormone replacement therapy to prevent them from some of these debilitating illnesses that they currently struggle with, and they may struggle with in the future as they get older. So
quality of life, it comes down to.
Quality of life.
Dr. Mary Claire Haver, the icon legend of all things menopause, she reminded us that general practitioners get 8 hours of training or conversation around menopause.
Yeah.
So we have a generation, like our doctors, our GPs, our generation of doctors that I wouldn't say don't support, but they are not informed or educated on what we need to improve the quality of our life.
Yeah.
So I think one major takeaway from all the podcasts I would have would be get educated, and you have to champion your own health. You have to go screaming out of your GP's doctor if they tell you to suck it up, buttercup, and do some yoga.
Yeah.
That's not going to improve your quality of life, your risk factors, whether it's weight loss, which is your biggest concern, your lack of sleep, frozen shoulder, itchy skin. There's 150 symptoms. We need to advocate for ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Our own healthcare. And if it's not your GP, find a specialist. But now there's no excuse because there's so many virtual platforms.
There's a lot of virtual platforms, which is amazing. I mean, I did have that experience with my GP. She does not subscribe to any kind of hormone replacement. She said, work out, eat well. And I'm like, I do that.
Yeah.
That's something I do.
Yeah.
Which to me is like, it's so shocking that because she is the same age as 29-year-old us. Yeah. She's within that range, and she said, you're just going to have to live with it. And we know that that's not the case. But again, that's training. So when I went in there to talk to her about hormone replacement, the woman coming out of her office was rip-roaring mad because she would not prescribe her any kind of HRT. And this woman was yelling at the front desk staff, I can't sleep, I have night sweats, I have this and I have that. And I'm just like, I feel so badly for these people because not everybody is aware. Not everybody listens to our podcast or is yet, right? But I think that's why this year we're going to be, actively searching out those doctors that do subscribe to it, that do have training. And we're going to be listing that on our community pages because we want to connect people with the right doctors to be able to facilitate what's going on in their life at that moment, not just that general practitioner who wants to see you for 15 minutes, give you your drugs, your antidepressants, whatever else they're going to prescribe in lieu of that HRT that you actually need. Yeah. We want to make sure we connect those people. So
it's spreading the good word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you remember Dr. Sandy, who wrote the book Beyond Soap? And again, a very requested topic is anti-aging in our skin. And because we're all looking at TikTok and Instagram and we see these beautiful 27-year-olds layering 15 things on their skin and they can get away with it.
Of course,
bless their hearts, it doesn't even matter.
But they don't go to the house after that, and that's the only difference, right? You have to walk around with that on your face.
All the things. But she put in my head the fear of God. Everyone's doing too many things. Yeah. Too many either, you're not looking at the ingredients, things that aren't even good for your skin health, because we want healthy skin. We don't want to just cover up and camouflage inside out, which is diet, skin health. Less is more. Don't use aggressive soaps. When you're doing so many steps, it can impact the skin barrier.
Absolutely.
So my takeaways from her, and tell me what you remember, was a good vitamin C and sunscreen. And if we do nothing else, you'll probably remind me what else we should be doing, but vitamin C and a good sunscreen. And eliminate the everything shower where we do 82 things to our skin and our bodies, but simplify it.
Yeah. And honestly, like you see all those milkshakes, the skincare milkshakes on TikTok where they'll put everything in one thing and just slather it on their face. Yeah. And that actually can make you look older, because if you're not mixing things properly and if you're not taking the steps in the proper time frames, it actually can set you back.
Really?
So that vitamin C, that sunscreen, like always sunscreen, no matter if it's winter, summer, shady, cloudy, sunny, you have to wear it. I do not step outside without sunscreen. And I'm a beach girly, and I am. Like, I will have a white face. I am literally like, I cannot, sun has not hit my face in 15 years. It's always like 100 sunscreen and a hat, like as big as you can get. Like,
but look at you. My God, like people can't believe that Lisa's turning 50 this year. I mean, if we could just wake up and look like you, because you put the work in, and you're a champion for sunscreen. So
I will not leave home without it. Yeah, I won't leave home without it. It's like not American Express, but it's pretty darn close.
Exactly. So what else is on your list?
Well, sleep.
Oh,
let's talk about sleep.
Let's
talk about sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep can lead, if you have a bad sleep, you can just basically ruin your life. Yeah. It leads to weight gain. It leads to stress. It leads to cortisol. It leads to so many things. So sleep is such a important pillar for your health. And if you're falling asleep halfway through the day, like if you're tired at your desk afternoon, like you need to be getting more sleep at night. Go to bed half an hour early if it's hard. 15-minute increments, like make sure you get that sleep. Yeah. Because like the night sweats, being uncomfortable, itchy skin can get you at night. So as long as you're trying to get that 8 hours.
You know what changed for me? because this is something we wrestle with all the time. And you can tell the mornings that I've come in here and I haven't slept, which was years and years. And I would look at it almost like a bank account. Like I would deposit a great night of 8 hours sleep, but then the next night I would only have 3 hours sleep. So I was like taking out of my bank account, and I never had a consistent bank balance. But I thought if I could just store up one great night's of sleep, it'll pay for the next 4, and it doesn't.
No.
It's just, you just feel so garbage. But a couple of things, my HRT, leveling my progesterone levels. That really is when I noticed when that was functioning and my doctor was happy with my progesterone, that was when I started sleeping well. But what augmented it was when I fixed my gut microbiome. And that was Cindy Topol again. And she was just advocating for fiber, fermented foods, and water. And when my menopausal cranky friends get together, the joke is, okay, when's the last time you've gone to the bathroom number 2? Because it's been 4 days for me, 3 days for Sally, 5 days for Sue. And we're just like, we're busting out of our pants. We feel gross. There's so much toxins in our body. And I didn't believe that tweaking my diet, adding more water, the fermented foods, and the fiber would resolve that. Remember, I came in, I'm like, hold on a second. There's like activity every day. I thought I would never see that again.
Yeah.
That helped with a few extra pounds, but that helped my sleep when I fixed my gut.
Amazing.
Who thought?
Amazing.
Right?
I mean, that's great. The water is key for that too, right? Like the 90 ounces a day, and that should be your standard every day. It's hard to get. It's hard to get to. And it's not for everyone. Like you sometimes have to start slow. And she recommended the 90 ounces every day. And, I've been consistently doing 90 plus ounces every day, and I feel so much better.
One thing I think she said, or we've talked about, is if it's hard for you, force it down early in the day. Because again, when you mentioned sleep, if we forget, and I'm using a water tracker now, and it's like, God damn it, I didn't get to my 90 ounces. And then somehow I think between 7 and 9 is the best time, and then you're up. So pack it in early in the day is what I would say. Right. Yeah, that's been a big one.
But it's always good to have that reusable bottle or the water trackers. Like there's so many apps that you can subscribe to that are free that can remind you, which is, sometimes you need reminding. Like you get so busy in the day, like you and me, we're both heads down at our desk, right? Like getting stuff done, like just hustling, and you sometimes forget. Yeah. And it's like, if you have that ping on your watch or ping on your phone, or your bottle for yours. Yeah. It makes it so much easier to remember to drink that water. And then it becomes a habit. Yeah, it does. And can't forget the impact of doing the same thing every day. That's part of your routine. And then I don't know if it's psychological, but then you crave it. Yeah. So now I crave water more. Yeah, me too. And that's forcing. Yeah. But it's just way easier to get down. Oh, yeah. Absolutely it is. Like I find that if I don't have water, say on a weekend, and I'm out and about doing shopping or whatever, and I don't have my water bottle with me, I find that I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like parched. Right. I'm in a desert. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crave it. You really crave it. You really crave it. Something we've talked about recently, and it kind of refers back to the gut health, is alcohol consumption. Right. Yes. That's a doozy. And, it's not like you or I personally were racing home to have glasses of champagne every day, but we did like a good, and when we're traveling on the road together, we love a good glass of champagne. Little drink. Yeah. What have you done differently, and how do you find it's impacted your health? I find that it's, for me personally, like I rarely drink anymore. I find that the next day, even if I have 1 or 2 glasses, I still feel kind of crappy. Yeah. Because I'm not used to drinking. Like, do you know when you're back in your 20s and maybe 30s, you would go out, you'd party, you'd have all those drinks. You're practiced. And I hate saying it that way, but like you're practiced. You know how to drink. You can handle alcohol. Your body is more tolerant. And now I find that I have 1 or 2 glasses, and I know you with 2 is like fiasco. It's a fiasco. Yeah. But you feel it the next day, not necessarily hungover, but just like lagging, just not yourself. So I always think now, like I always second guess. I'm like, do I want to drink? Do I want to have a glass of wine? And as much as I like the flavor of it, is the feeling the next day outweighing the flavor of it the night before? would a kombucha
Mm-hmm.
in a wine glass suffice?
Yeah.
Would a mocktail suffice for that like little bit of
Mm-hmm.
like fancy drink that you want to have? And that's kind of where I've transitioned to, because like I just don't want to feel like laggy the next day. I don't have time. I
No.
don't have time.
No. It does disrupt our sleep.
Yeah, it does.
too.
And it does. And like I find that for myself, because I don't get night sweats.
Mhm.
I'm like freezing typically at night. But if I have 2 glasses of red wine,
Ooh.
I get hot. And I'm like, oh my God, like these poor ladies who are like, and I'm like, you know, I'm just, and that's typically me. And luckily I sleep in our sheets and our pajamas. So I'm not like crazy, but you still feel it. And it's like something that I'm not used to. So it's something that I don't want to subscribe to on a daily or weekly basis. So I like my
it's like a cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, it really is. Like you kind of have to make that, like, do I have time to sleep in tomorrow? Do I have time to be up 2 hours for like being super hot all night? Like there's just so many factors now at this point.
Two things happened for me at the same time. We filmed Cindy Topol's first podcast, and she looks amazing. She's such a health advocate, menopause expert, weight loss expert. And she said she stopped drinking completely, zero alcohol.
Yeah.
Because of the impact on gut health.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me think about this. And then, don't judge, but my idol on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards, I find she looks so extraordinary. She's living this healthy life, and she completely cut alcohol out of her life.
Right.
And that lifestyle of these jet-setting Real Housewives, there was typically a good amount of alcohol consumed on their girls' trips on a daily basis. But she made the hard stance, which isn't easy in her social life. And I think it's been 2 years for her. And she has never looked better. And she's taken on a lot more fitness in her life, and she's abandoned alcohol. It's like those two things of my idol looking and feeling so good and Cindy Topol, I've all but cut it out. And I don't have even that feeling anymore of what it's like of having a glass and a half of champagne, just even on the weekends, and then feeling groggy the next day, or then the impact on my gut health. And it's just, it's really not worth it. And
it's not. And that's kind of where I've come to, is just like, I can have my little glass of kombucha. It's still red.
It's still red.
It's still red.
Sparkly.
It's still sparkly. It still tastes good, but it's actually good for you. It's not going to make you feel groggy or laggy the next day.
And it's come a long way.
It has.
And the mocktails. Let's do a mocktail.
There's no reason why you have to drink. And honestly, like we've known for years that alcohol is poison. It's literally poison. It's killing your body. It's killing your cells.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you should be doing anyways. Like, I mean, obviously each to their own, but if you can feel better, look better, like even if you side by side, like Kyle from 2 years to now, she looks a million times better. Her face looks better, less puffy. You can tell the difference. Yeah. So agreed.
What else?
Bone mass.
Yeah.
So again, your hormones are directly involved in your bone mass, and you lose up to 20% during your perimenopause years. Yeah. So that osteoarthritis, osteoporosis is a huge risk factor for everyone. So anything you can do to maintain your bone helps. So your muscle building is going to help. Lifting is going to help with that. So your exercise is a huge step in that. So I think Mary Claire said it. I think there's a few other ladies who've said it, is that heavy lifting. But with that heavy lifting, you need to make sure you don't just start heavy lifting, that there's like some kind of process to move up there, because injuries happen a lot in our age group as well when people just start working out, because a lot of ladies haven't worked out their whole lives. They've been skinny and they suddenly were like, oh my God, I've gained 20 pounds. Yeah. What do I do? And there's so much risk of injury at that point. So be gentle with yourself while you're, getting into these workouts, but heavy lifting, building that muscle mass, because you lose muscle mass as well, is important.
Also, to add to that is how you and I have changed our workout routine and eliminated heavy cardio. Yeah. Because I was a Peloton queen.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't lifting enough. So funny, both of us, a year ago plus, vegans, cardio, not lifting enough,
champagne,
not on hormones. And me personally, I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now.
Yes.
I've all but abandoned Peloton. I walk, and I think Mary Claire and others have said, just get your steps in.
Yeah.
And do the heavy lifting, and don't be trying to take up marathon running, aggressive cardio, which spikes cortisol.
It does. So you end up holding on to those fat cells as opposed to releasing them. And it's funny because, my husband, he does bike, and he is like a road biker through and through. He's like that athlete, right? And he's always encouraging me to join. And I'm just like, it's not good for me.
Yeah.
He's like, but the ladies your age group, they're skinny and they do this. And I'm just like, but it's just going to spike the cortisol. I love to lift.
Yeah.
I'm not a cardio. Like, don't sign me up for cardio anymore. Just don't sign me up. I'll do I'll do a walk outside. I love being out in nature, same as you. Like, I love to walk outside. I'll walk down the beach if I'm at a beach. I'm active. I just don't feel the need to push myself to that endurance limit that I used to.
Yeah.
So, because I can't lose weight that way anymore.
No.
So what's the point? Like, why am I biking for 4 hours? Like, there's just no reason to do it.
No. As you say, there's no reason to run unless a bear's chasing
If there's a bear chasing you, cougar, bear, like.
Yeah, exactly. I think everything we're saying is the rules have changed.
Yeah.
When you're upper 40s, early 50s or whatever, what we used to do in our 30s that made sense. It's just the game is different. The rules have changed.
It is.
Get educated. Listen to our podcast.
And honestly, like, if you know people that are younger, like my daughter's only 14, but I tell her these things. So she is prepared when she gets into this, because I want to make sure that I'm literally telling it on the mountain, because there's so many people that are uninformed. And it's sad, and they could do stuff about it. And I, as long as they are informed about it, it's their decision what to do about it, right? There are so many people that can help them. There are so many avenues they can go.
Yeah.
But it does change when you're in that age group. And I wish I could still lose weight like I could in my 20s, but it's just not the same.
No. We have to adapt a different lifestyle to what works best.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned your daughter's generation. They'll be so much better prepared. It won't be the stigma of shame of menopause. There's, it's having a moment, and it will start to impact downstream how GPs are trained. There'll be more experts. There'll just be more content and education and support. There's still an element of, even for me, I had developed Lucime before I started perimenopause. So it was for women suffering in silence with night sweats. Until it affects you, until you see the weight gain, until you're not sleeping, until you feel foggy, the itchy skin, it's like, hold on a second, there's something going on. I think the message is, as soon as you feel that, if you're not doing preventative stuff, as soon as you feel that, get the help to get your symptoms looked at, get your blood work, or get the symptoms treated. And
as early as possible, as soon as you start feeling it, because it does make a huge impact in your life.
Yeah.
Just living.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So much to talk about. We'll do this again, but what's your last kind of words of wisdom that you want to leave our community with on the things they should be doing differently starting tomorrow?
I think the easiest thing to start doing is your eating.
Yes.
Your protein, your water, your fermented food, and your fiber, the 25 grams of fiber.
Yeah.
I think that's your first line of defense. And then I think if you're having those issues, if you feel the frozen shoulder, if you feel the night sweats, hot flashes, then, get tested.
Yeah.
And if your doctor doesn't do it, have him or her recommend you to a gynecologist. Or there's multiple online platforms, even in our community. We do have a couple on there that you can subscribe to, US and Canada.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, food is always first. There's always opportunity to change. What are your thoughts?
Great advice. Because we've been doing this a year, and because we've had some things go viral, and I'm just going to put in a little bit a plug, especially for you and your team that have done this work, is your great work was acknowledged as one of the top 10 menopause podcasts by Media Health. And that is a huge acknowledgement of how desperate the resources, education, and community is needed out in the world. I would say now, because we know we've helped people, if there's a topic like food and eating, you can go through our podcast and find the doctors and the experts that address that and lay it out, because our podcasts are only 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Dr. Mary Claire and she lays out exactly what you should be doing from a nutrition point of view.
Absolutely.
You can go to Cindy Topol and you can find out exactly what to do from a nutrition point of view.
Yeah.
But for any topic, like if heart health is on your mind, you can go find Dr. Suzanne Steinbaum.
Mm-hmm.
So for me now, because thankfully I'm in the inner circle of this amazing work and the guests that you found, I refer to other podcasts if I need our podcast, if I need a tune-up or if I'm craving some information, because they're only 30 minutes.
Bite size.
They're bite size. And we're not the doctors, except
No.
for we've brought these amazing people to our community. They've laid out and synthesized the exact roadmap to get healthy. So this is maybe a desperate kind of self-promotion, except for our podcast has it all. So start there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the more information you have, the better, because like the amount that we've learned this year, it's mind blowing.
Right.
And we're in it every day, which is different than normal people, but you can get the gist of everything from our podcast and from our community. And I appreciate you hosting this. Like, it's been an amazing journey so far. And I love learning about this every week.
And we do learn.
We do.
Yes. So thank you, Lisa. This has been fun.